Hello again, my little conscripts, and welcome to another Mordian Glory video. In today's episode, we shall be casting our ever-critical eye over another 10th edition Imperial Guard Codex datasheet. This time, we are going to be deep diving the Catachan Jungle Fighters. If you're a newer player and you look at their datasheet, you might not think that they're very good, but they are deceptively awesome. And in my opinion, and the opinion of a lot of other competitive players, Catachans are actually the go-to infantry choice and possibly the best and most competitive one. That's a bold statement to make. Let's not mess around. Let's back it up. Let's fix bayonets and charge right into this thing. First things first, let's have a cheeky gander at that Catachan stat line. Movement of 6, toughness 3, 5 up save, 1 wound, leadership 7, OC 2. That is the quintessential guard stat line. Movement 6 is okay in terms of maneuverability. Toughness 3, 5 up save, 1 wound means they are going to die like piss at every opportunity. You're probably going to need a lot of them if you want many of them to stick around. And leadership 7, sometimes they pass it, sometimes they don't. Big thing is objective control 2, of course. That is a lot of objective control. Even from a simple 10-man squad, you're looking at a total of 20 OC. That can easily flip objectives. So the big thing with guardsman profiles is that they're not particularly durable, they're not particularly fast, but they're not slow. But they have a lot of OC, which makes them really good for doing primary objectives. But let's move on from the stat line and get into the unit composition. Catachan Jungle Fighter squads come in 2 sizes, 10-man squads and 20-man squads. 10-man squad consists of 1 sergeant and 9 jungle fighters. 20-man squad consists of 2 sergeants and 18 jungle fighters. Each sergeant is equipped with a las pistol and close combat weapon. Each jungle fighter is equipped with a las gun and close combat weapon. You can also add up to 2 leader units to a Catachan Jungle Fighter squad. It's important to note that is regardless of squad size. So whether it's a 10-man squad or a 20-man squad, you can have 2 leaders attached. As with pretty much all of the guard infantry units, whether they're elite units or battle line units, you can add war gear and special equipment to your Catachan units. Unlike those other squads like Cadians and Kriegers, where you've got melter guns and plasma guns and all sorts of different options for the sergeants, Catachan units are very limited in what they can take. And when I say not many, you have precisely 2 options. For every 5 models, you can take a flamer. For every 10 models, you can take a voxcaster. That's it. No plasma guns, melter guns, grenade launchers, sniper rifles. Sergeants have no options. Your sergeant comes with a las pistol. That's it. He can't even take a chainsword. Ironically, considering Catachans are meant to be pretty melee orientated, your sergeant is only as good as melee as the rest of your guys. And in fact, your Catachan sergeant is typically much worse than the sergeants and squad leaders of other battle line guard regiments, like the Cadians and the Kriegers. Because the Cadian guy at least can get a chainsaw and have like 3 attacks. Your sergeant gets 1. The Krieg guy can get a power sword and have 2 attacks with a better strength and a better AP than your Catachan one. It's a sad fact that your Catachan sergeants should be the first guys to die in your squads. Because why would you keep a guy who's just got a las pistol and close combat weapon when you can have a guy with a las gun? And the las gun's not a great weapon, but it's a huge step up over a las pistol. It's actually twice as good. Now, it's this lack of war gear which often leads to people dismissing Catachans as a good infantry choice. They can't punch as hard as Kriegers and Cadians, who get melters and who get like plasma guns and stuff like that. But there are a couple of factors you want to take into account before you completely dismiss them. The first one is they are the only battle line guard choice. In fact, they're one of the only guard infantry choices. Even the Catachans and Scions don't get this. Who can take 4 of the same special weapon? Yes, it is flamers. Flamers are often considered not that great. But 4 of them in one squad is not to be underestimated, especially when you consider their Overwatch potential. There are a lot of armies out there which do not want to get hit by 4 flamers on Overwatch. Some armies won't care. Marines will probably just stride through it. But Tyranids, they don't want to get hit by 4 flamers. And Eldar do have ways of trying to mitigate Overwatch, but they can typically only do that on like 1 unit a turn. So yeah, 1 unit might be able to avoid your Overwatch, but what happens when the other unit comes around? Just line them up with the flamers. So don't underestimate Catachan Overwatch. Don't underestimate mass flamers. It's nice to have 4 of the same special weapons. The other thing to take into account is Catachan command squads. Now, I have done a video on Catachan command squads already, deep diving them. I do highly recommend that you check it out. I cover a lot of how Catachan command squads solve this problem with Catachan main units. But the short answer is Catachan command squads do get melter guns, plasma guns, grenade launchers. They get all of it. So if you look at Catachans in isolation, you'll think flamers rubbish. But when you look at the bigger picture, you look at units that don't want to be hit by mass flamers, and you look at the fact that you can actually cover that gap with a command squad, which you probably should be adding onto this unit anyway, you realize that actually the gap in the Catachan equipment isn't anywhere near as bad as it used to be. When in the index, yeah, this was a big problem. In the codex, we got ways around this now. But it's not just the fact that Catachans can now solve some of their war gear issues. What makes them really good is their abilities. We're actually going to do this in reverse order to how I normally do it. First up, let's look at the war gear abilities. Start off, they get Voxcasters. You can have 2 in each Catachan 20-man squad. And that gives you 2 opportunities to farm CP using Voxcasters. You see how it works? Each time you spend a stratagem on this unit, that can be something as simple as grenades. You roll a dice for each Voxcaster. And on a 5+, you gain 1 CP. If there's an officer within 6 inches, so either leading the squad or near the squad, that goes up to a 4+. Now, it's important to note that you can't farm more than 1 CP per battle round. So even if you roll double 4 up, you don't get 2 CP, you're capped out at 1. But it gives you double the opportunity to get that command point back and to farm it. Considering that Lord Solar Leontus is nowhere near the auto-include that he once was, and you're not guaranteed to be starting off with that bonus CP every turn, Voxcasters have actually become a very important piece of equipment, and getting a lot of them in your list means that you have loads of chances to basically get a bonus CP for free. Now, in terms of main data sheet abilities, we've got Jungle Fighters. This has significantly changed from the index. It used to be if you charged or got charged, then you got +1 strength, +1 AP, which was pretty decent. It was okay. I think it's got a lot better now. Each town model in this unit makes a melee attack. If that unit made a charge move or was charged this turn, you add 1 to the wound roll. Now, yes, we are missing the AP. But the thing is, AP doesn't mean very much if you can never bloody wound anything. Because going from strength 3 to strength 4 is okay. It's fine. It made you a bit better at being able to beat up intercessors. But that was about it. The rest of the time, you're wounding things on 6s. Any vehicle, any monster, you're wounding on 6s. Getting +1 to wound is quite important because it means you're wounding on 5s now. A lot of vehicles out there, the standard vehicle and monster armor save is a 3-up. You charge a whole blob of 20 Catachans in there. There's a real chance that you're going to be able to inflict a few wounds on them. I mean, let's look at this. 20 attacks. Let's say you've got fixed bayonets on there. That's going to be, this is very much back of a napkin math, but let's say that's about 13 hits. That's going to generate about 4 wounds. 4 wounds on a 3-up save means you've got a good chance of chipping off 1 or 2 wounds off a vehicle. That's 1 or 2 wounds you wouldn't have done. And if there's an enemy vehicle that might only be on 1 or 2 wounds left over after you've shot it and you've grenaded it and all that kind of stuff. It's a good chance to bring it down. It's not going to make Catachans premier melee fighters. Let's not kid ourselves here. But +1 to wound is better because it actually means you do wound. It's also important to understand how this pairs with other melee options that you have. Don't forget, the Catachan commander comes with a power fist. He's strength 6. A lot of the time, he would be wounding vehicles and monsters on 5s. Now he's going to be wounding them on 4s. You've also got things like Nork Dead Dog and Ogren Bodyguards, who are strength 8 with those Ooge Knives, and strength 7 with the big Bulgrim Mauls. They also would have been wounding on 5s. Now they're wounding on 4s, and they've got a significant volume of attacks. I think Nork gets like 6 attack with his Ooge Knife. Looking at Jungle Fighters on their own, it's not a good ability. Looking at the Jungle Fighter datasheet on its own doesn't seem great. But looking at it in combination with what else it can work with, suddenly you start seeing why these Catachans can do all right. But we've not got to the main reason why they're so popular. The hot tamale, the big deal. And it's these 3 words here, or should we say 2 words, a number. Core Scouts 6 inches. This right here is amazing. If you have watched any of my other unit reviews, you will know how much I love Scouts. If you've not watched any of them, buckle up, because I'm about to go full send on how much I love this ability. In my opinion, I think Scouts is one of, if not the most powerful generic core abilities in Warhammer 40k 10th edition. Fundamentally, it comes down to the old adage, movement wins games. If you've heard me say that before, say it with me, movement wins games. It can be used both offensively and defensively. Offensively, you can take a big blob of 20 Catachans, put a command squad in there, and they can scout move 6 inches forward. They can then move with the move order another 9 inches forward. The Catachan command squad gives them the ability to have the assault, have the assault ability. So now they're going an extra D6 from the advance roll, and they're still firing. You can go potentially 21 inches and still be firing. And Scout really unlocks a lot of that capability. So it makes you fast on the offense. Also is really good for defensiveness. What if you don't have quite enough terrain in your deployment zone to hide all of your units? Well, what you can do is, which you want to do, by the way, because if you don't hide a unit, typically it dies first turn in 40k. What you can do is have a unit of Catachans that maybe look like they're out in the open, but they're within 6 inches of being able to hide behind a piece of terrain in no man's land. So they start off out in the open, beginning of the game, scout move, 6 inches forward, you can't see me now, I'm now defended. Or at the very least, I'm getting the benefit of cover, which is going to improve my defensiveness. Scout can be used offensively and defensively. It can be used also to just early on get cheap points, to get cheap primary, to get cheap secondary. Think about it this way. You might think you always want to go for the big 25-man blob, but a lot of the time, the right call to make is a cheap 10-man blob, 10-man squad. Because Catachans are the cheapest way that you can get scout into your army. Turn 1, you pull an objective like extend battle lines, or an objective like secure no man's land, or even engage north fronts. If you've got a big 20-man blob of infantry, you might need to run them all out there, and then they all die, achieving the secondary, because they run out, they get the secondary, and then the enemy runs out and goes, and just kills them all. Or 10 scouting Catachans. Scout move forward, move in advance onto the objective, boom, you just got yourself, 5 points for extend battle lines? Do it with a couple of units, and for a very cheap points investment, you have given yourself the tool in the toolbox to go after risky, early, secondary objectives. That then creates a bit of a dilemma for your opponent, because if they don't come out and blow away those Catachan squads, 1, 2, 3 of them that are on the objectives, then they survive and you start earning primary points as well. But if they do come out to kill them, they've potentially exposed a much more valuable unit to kill 10 Catachans. So it's a win-win for you. You get the secondary points. You get to start threatening primary points. You either get the primary points because your opponent's not willing to sacrifice a unit to kill 10 guardsmen, or you don't get the primary points, but your opponent has now exposed a much more valuable asset, comes over to your turn, and you can smoke that valuable asset. This is what makes Catachans so strong. Very cheap, but potentially so much gain on the battlefield. But wait, I'm going to go on about Scout even more because of the way it interacts with dedicated transports. If every model embarked inside a transport has the Scout ability, then that transporter gets a Scout as well. So if you take 10 Catachans and put them in a Taurox, then you can Scout move that Taurox 6 inches forward. The Taurox can then move 12 inches forward. It can advance because Tauroxes can advance and your guide can still get out. That's potentially another 4 inches. So we've gone 6-inch Scout, 12-inch move, 4-inch advance on average. That's 22 inches. Then you disembark 3 inches. So 25-inch move on one blob of Catachans, and you can still shoot afterwards. In fact, because you counted having made a normal move, you can shoot and you can throw grenades. There are other options for doing this. You can do it with Krieg engineers as well, who get to do grenades for free. But it's a great option to have on a big scale. Catachans also get more bodies. They get more flamers, and potentially you can get that grenade back thanks to the Voxcaster ability that we were just looking at a second ago. And if you look at it on a grand scale, if you're running a traditional mechanized guard army, we're thinking lots of chimeras, we're thinking a combined arms detachment, we're thinking a few tanks as fire support. Catachans are the best infantry choice for a traditional mech army because it basically gives all of your chimeras Scout for free. It's so good. So everything up until this point, the stat line, the war gear options, the war gear abilities, Jugglifies, they've been either good or bad. They've been either okay or we can sort of patch them over. But the big thing that makes these guys so powerful is Scouts. Do not underestimate it. I know you're probably sick of me talking about it right now. But this is the hot sauce right here. This is the reason to take Catachans over any other infantry choice. But of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you think Catachans are a good choice? Do you think that they have been knocked off the top spot by new and improved Cadians and Kriegers? Do you still think they are the go-to infantry choice for a lot of competitive guard lists? Also, let me know how sick you are of me going on and on about Scouts. I promise, guys, I think we've covered most of the Scout units at this point, so hopefully you won't have to hear me witter on about it much more. If you did enjoy today's video, don't forget to go ahead and smash that like button. If you didn't enjoy it, go ahead and press the dislike button, because you know what? YouTube can't tell the difference in likes and dislikes. All interactivity feeds the hungry algorithm. And subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bon Bon Vert, Lord Pryor, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.